Caitlin Clark groin injury update. Will the Indiana Fever start play Wednesday against the Valkyries? The Indiana Fever are entering a critical stretch in their season, and all eyes are on the status of Caitlin Clark as she bids to return from injury. So will she be available for the clash with the Golden State Valkyries on Wednesday, July 9th? Matt May, Lisa Schuyler. The college-grown injury update will be June 5th. Great statement to raise with all of us waiting. After enduring a demanding stretch of 9 games in just 19 days, the team is finally able to catch its breath before their schedule picks up again with 3 consecutive home games and the approaching All-Star break. The Fever took Sunday off to regroup, returning to Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Monday for a practice session that, this time, involved season ticket holders who had been invited to observe behind-the-scenes training. And it truly was a practice session, unlike others in recent days, as fans received more than just a glimpse of the team's routine. They were treated to an unexpected moment. Caitlin Clark returned to live practice action after missing 5 straight games with a groin injury. Though the 23-year-old guard didn't participate in full-court drills, the sight of her moving, shooting, and re-engaging in live play was a promising sign. Still, her return to the court doesn't offer full clarity on whether she will suit up against the Valkyries, and the head coach, Stephanie White, addressed the uncertainty surrounding Clark's availability, expressing both hope and caution. "I hope so," White told reporters. "The same return-to-play structure we've been following. Caitlin Clark, was able to do a little bit more today, and now we'll see tomorrow. Has there been progress or any regression? How does she feel? How does she look? What does recovery look like?" This was really the first time we've gotten her out into live action. So we'll see what it brings tomorrow. Fever prepare for Clark to take less central role. During practice, the coaching staff appeared to experiment with new lineup combinations as they continue to navigate the fixture list without the hottest property in the WNBA at the moment. Harry McDonald was seen operating as the primary ball handler while Clark played off the ball, an unusual role for a player used to initiating the offense, but who struggled in her last outing against the Seattle Storm. The adjustment may serve dual purposes, easing Clark back into game rhythm while preserving her health in a grueling season as the franchise already begins to turn one eye towards the WNBA playoffs. "I think it can give her a break," White added. "I think we can get her and our team different looks when that happens." So this is really the first time that we've been able to practice that. So look forward to exploring that a little bit more. Clark's presence on the floor, whether or not she plays her full minutes, could immediately change the dynamics for Indiana. Her scoring ability, court vision, and command of pace remain unmatched on the roster, and she will draw defenders, creating more space for teammates. The Indiana Fever locker room had been missing something. Not just a player, but a presence, a pulse, a heartbeat named Caitlin Clark. The buzz of the WNBA had quieted just slightly in her absence as the dynamic rookie guard battled a nagging groin injury that sidelined her for 5 straight games. But now, with Wednesday's clash against the upstart Golden State Valkyries looming, all eyes are on Clark's status and whether that iconic 922 jersey will take the court again. The groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin hurt around the league when Clark first winced during a late June matchup. As the groin grabbing at her side and limping off, it sent a ripple through the WNBA community. The diagnosis was a strained left groin, and while not season-ending, it was the kind of injury that required caution. Every pivot, sprint, and logo 3 that made Clark a sensation also put strain on that muscle group. She wants to play through anything, Fever head coach Stephanie White said earlier this week. But this isn't about toughness. It's about timing, long-term health, and making sure she's herself when she comes back. The Fever have gone 3-2 in her absence, including an emotional win over the Los Angeles Sparks. They've proven resilient, leaning more heavily on Kelsey Mitchell's scoring, Aaliyah Boston's interior defense, and Nalisa Smith's versatility. Yet, there's no denying the offense has lost some of its flair and spacing. Clark doesn't just shoot, she shifts the geometry of the court. Monday's spark of hope. On Monday morning, inside a quiet gym in Indianapolis, Caitlin Clark laced up her sneakers, stretched deliberately, and stepped onto the hardwood. It was her first full 5-on-5 practice since the injury, and every step, pass, and cut was scrutinized like a presidential debate. Reporters weren't allowed inside, but murmurs began surfacing on social media. Clark looked fluid, confident, loose. Just being out there felt good, she told a Fever staffer afterward. I missed the rhythm. I missed the noise. Coach White confirmed the good news in her post-practice media session. It was a big step, she said. We'll see how she responds on Tuesday. In the first hour, no swelling, no pain. We could be looking at a return. The decision day, Tuesday is now the unofficial judgment day. While fans refresh their feeds and ticket prices on resale sites start climbing, Clark and the Fever will be carefully assessing how her body feels after Monday's session. One practice doesn't guarantee a return. Soft tissue injuries are like riddles. You may think you've solved it, only to find a new twist when the lights come on. If Clark reports soreness or stiffness, they'll sit her again. But if she feels good, she plays, White said simply. We need her, but we won't rush her. The opponent Valkyries. Awaiting for her is not just any team. The Golden State Valkyries, the WNBA's boldest expansion team, have stormed into the league with a roster full of athletic wings, bruising bigs, and a chip on their shoulders. They play physical, they play fast. They're not just newcomers, they're disruptors. And you know what disruptors do when a marquee star is returning from injury? They test her. Expect Valkyries defenders to bump Clark at every screen, crowd her at every three-point attempt, and test the flexibility of that groin with hard cuts and full court pressure. If Caitlin Clark steps onto that floor, it won't be a gentle welcome. It'll be a trial by fire. But that's how she likes it. The bigger picture. This isn't just about one game. It's about the trajectory of Clark's rookie campaign, a journey that began with hype unseen in decades. She's the reason behind the Fever's national broadcasts, the surge in merchandise sales, and the influx of first-time WNBA viewers. Her absence hurt, not just Indiana's on-court dynamic, but the league's visibility. But her return? That could spark the second act of a rookie season for the ages. Some wonder if she should just wait until after the All-Star break to return. But Clark isn't wired like that. She wants the minutes, the matchups, the moments. Sitting out the Valkyries game would mean waiting even longer, risking rust and rhythm as the season barrels toward its midpoint. And if she does return, expect the building to explode. Every movement will be magnified. Every shot will draw a reaction. Every crossover might as well come with a drum roll.